Hello and welcome to part 2 of Act 1, Scene 2 of Julius Caesar. So, we saw in part 1 that Cassius was trying to convince Brutus why Caesar is not worthy of being the king. Meanwhile, Caesar was offered the crown thrice and he refused it. Also, Caesar was feeling bad and forlorn that the crowd was glad that he refused the crown. Finally, Cassius plots ways to convince Brutus to join the conspiracy against Caesar, and all the while hinting at the growing power and ambition of Caesar, which could make him into a tyrant. So, this is what happens in the remaining part of Act 1, Scene 2, and now let's go look into the detailed explanation of it. So, let's continue. Brutus and Caesar. What should be in that Caesar? So what is so special in Caesar? Why should that name be sounded more than yours? So why should that name be called more or proclaimed more than yours? Write them together. Yours is as fair a name. So even when you write Brutus and Caesar together, your name is as fair as his name. Sound them. So when you speak them, it does become the mouth as well. So it also sounds as good. Weigh them, it is as heavy. So even if you try to weigh the names, both names are equally heavy. Conjure with them. Brutus will start a spirit as soon as Caesar. So the name Brutus will also start a spirit as easily as Caesar. Now in the names of all the gods at once, upon what meat doth this our Caesar feed? So he is asking, now in the name of all the god, I want to know what does Caesar feed on, that he has grown so great? What is he eating so special that he has become so much greater than you? Age, thou art shamed. Shame on you, age. This is what he's saying. So all this is said by Cassius towards Brutus. Rome, thou hast lost the breed of noble bloods. Okay. So now Rome, which was once a great city and had a great empire, has lost the breed of noble bloods. When went there by an age since the great flood, but it was famed with more than with one man. So now what he's saying is, that is after the great flood, when has a time come where only one person was given so much fame and name? When could they say till now that talked of Rome, that her wide walks encompassed but one man? Okay. So there has never been a time where until now that talked of Rome with only one person or giving just one person importance. Now it is Rome indeed, and room enough where there is in it but only one man. Okay. So he's saying that all of Rome is now just like a single room of one man, and only one man is given all the importance. Oh, you and I have heard our fathers say, there was a Brutus once that would have brooked. Okay, so brooked means allowed the eternal devil to keep his state in Rome as easily as a king. So here Cassius says, you and I have heard our fathers say that there was a Brutus who once would have allowed an eternal devil to keep a position as a king in Rome. So basically in this entire scene here, Cassius is telling Brutus that Rome was once a great city and empire with great rulers, with so many rulers. But now it has lost its lineage, where even ordinary men have become powerful. And now there is only one powerful man in entire of Rome. And that was never the case until now. So how is it that it is possible now? So now Brutus says, that you do love me, I am nothing jealous. I know you love me and I am not suspicious of this fact. What you would work me to do, I have some aims. So I am beginning to understand what you want me to do. How I have thought of this and of these times, I shall recount hereafter. For this present I would not so with love, I might entreat you be any further moved. So here Brutus is saying that what I think about this current situation, what I have thought about this and of these current situations in Rome, I shall tell you later. But for now, do not try to persuade me anymore. Okay. And I will ask you like a friend. What you have said, I will consider. So I will consider what you have said. What you have to say, I will with patience hear and find a time both meet to hear and answer such high things. So he says this is not the right place to discuss. I will find a good time for us to discuss such important things in a later time when both of us can listen and answer. Till then, my noble friend, chew upon this. So till then, my noble friend, listen that Brutus had rather be a villager than to repute himself a son of Rome. So he's saying, I'll rather be a poor villager than call myself a Roman under such hard conditions like what we are going through now. Okay, so I hope so much is clear. Okay, so Cassius says, I am glad that my weak words have struck, but this much show of fire from Brutus. So Cassius says that I'm glad that my such weak words have struck a chord with you, that you have understood what I wanted to tell you and shown a small reaction from you. So then enter Caesar and his train. Train means other people with him, who are with him. Brutus, the games are done and Caesar is returning. So the race and other games are done and they are returning. So Cassius says, as they pass by, pluck Casca by the sleeve, and he will, after his sour fashion, tell you what hath proceeded worthy note today. Okay, so as they go by, pull Casca by the sleeve, and he will tell in his grumpy way what had happened today that was noteworthy. Brutus says, I will do so, but look you, Cassius, I will do that, but look, Cassius, the angry spot doth glow on Caesar's brow. Okay, so on Caesar's eyebrows, you can see that there is an angry expression, and all the rest look like a chidden train, and all the others look like they have been scolded. California's cheek is pale, so she's become all pale. She looks scared, and Cicero looks with such ferret and such fear eyes. So he has the same red fiery eyes that when he had while he was opposed by some senators during a meeting in the capital. So I've written the meanings of the words. You can pause the video and take it down. So Cassius asks, Casca will tell us what the matter is. That is when Caesar calls Antonius and Antony says, Caesar. So Caesar says, let me have men about me that are fat. So I want men around me that are fat, sleek-headed men. That means healthy-looking men, and such as sleep a night, the ones who sleep really well at night. Yond Cassius has a lean and hungry look, but look over there. That Cassius has a very lean and hungry look on his face. He thinks a lot, and such men are dangerous. So Caesar is actually having an intuition here that Cassius is doing or conspiring something against him. But Antony says, fear him not, Caesar. He is not dangerous. He is a noble Roman and well given. So don't worry. He is a very noble Roman and has a good temperament. That is when Caesar says, would he were fatter, but I fear him not. So here Caesar says, I wish he was fatter, but I do not fear him. Yet if my name were liable to fear, he's saying, I am not afraid of him. Yet if I was capable of fearing anyone, so here if you can see Caesar is showing the trait of an inflated sense of self. Like he is a very fearless man and powerful man. So if I had to fear, then I do know the man I should avoid. So if I would fear, then I would have to avoid Cassius as soon as that spare Cassius. He reads much. He is a great observer and he looks quite through the deeds of men. So here Caesar is telling the reasons why he should doubt Cassius. He reads a lot. He observes well and he looks through the qualities of men. So he sees the hidden motives of men. He loves no play as thou dost, Antony. So he does not love to watch plays as you like, Antony. He hears no music. He does not like to listen to music. He hardly smiles. Seldom means hardly. And smiles in such a sort as if he mocked himself. So even if he smiles rarely, he smiles as if he is making fun of himself, that is mocking himself, and scorned his spirit that could be moved to smile at anything. So he will get angry or there will be an hostility in his spirit that why did I smile after all? Such men as he be never at heart's ease. So they are never at ease, they are never at comfort, while they behold a greater than themselves, and therefore are they very dangerous. So if there are men that have a greater position than themselves, or that they are at higher ranks than Cassius, then they will never be comfortable or they will never be at ease, and that is why they are dangerous. So I have numbered the points of what Caesar says about Cassius, how many points he says against him. I rather tell thee what is to be feared than what I fear, for always I am Caesar. So he's saying, I am tell you what has to be feared. I don't fear because I am Caesar. Come on my right hand, for this ear is deaf. So he is deaf in his left ear. So he's saying, come to my right side and tell me, what do you truly think about Cassius? So he's asking Mark Antony what he thinks about Cassius. Casca says, you pulled me by the cloak. Would you speak with me? So you pulled me by my cloak. Do you want to talk to me? Brutus says, Hey Casca, tell us what hath chanced today, that Caesar looks so sad. So tell us what happened today, because Caesar looks very sad. So Casca says, why? You were with him, were you not? So Brutus says, I should not then ask Casca what had chanced. So if I was there, I wouldn't have asked what had happened, Casca. So Casca said, why? Means, well, there was a crown offered him, and being offered him, he put it with the back of his hand and thus, and then the people fell a shouting. Okay, so he said he was offered a crown, and when he was offered, he pushed it with his hand, and while he did that, the people were shouting. So Brutus asks, what was the second noise for? So Casca says, well, for that too. Then Cassius asks, they shouted thrice. What was the last cry for? So Casca says, well, for that too. Means again he was offered that. Brutus says, was the crown offered him thrice? So Casca says, hey, marry, wasn't? And he put it by thrice, every time gentler than the other, and every putting by mine honest neighbors shouted. So he's saying, yes, that's right. He rejected it thrice and each time more gentler than the time before. And while he was doing that, the entire crowd was shouting. I hope so much was clear. This was kind of easy. Now let's go to the next part. So Cassius asks, who offered him the crown? So Casca says, well, Antony. So Brutus says, tell us the manner of it, gentle Casca. So tell us how it was done, noble Casca. I can as well be hanged as tell the manner of it. I'd rather be hanged than tell what happened. It was just foolery. I did not see it properly. I saw Mark, or I did not pay much attention. I saw Mark Antony offered him a crown. Yet it was not a crown, it was one of these coronets. It was not exactly a crown. And as I told you, he put it by once. But for all that, to my thinking, he would fain have had it. So, though he refused to have the crown once, but as I think, he would definitely like to have it. Then he offered it to him again. So Mark Antony offered it again and he put it by again. So he refused it again. But to my thinking, he was very loath to lay his fingers off it. He was feeling really bad to not lay his fingers on the crown. And then he offered it the third time. He put it the third time by, and still as he refused it, the rabblement hooted. That means the crowd hooted and clapped their chopped hands and threw up their sweaty nightcaps and uttered such a deal of stinking breath. So the crowd gave such a stinking breath because Caesar refused the crown that it almost choked Caesar. For he swooned and fell down. So because he refused the crown, the people were so happy they hooted, shouted, and threw their sweaty nightcaps in the air. And as they were screaming, it was the stinking breath was choking Caesar, and he almost fell down and fell unconscious. As for my own part, as for me, I durst not laugh for fear of opening my lips and receive the bad air. So I did not open my mouth to even laugh because I was afraid that I would inhale the bad air. So Cassius says, but soft, I pray you, what? Did Caesar swoon? But wait a minute, please, what? Did Caesar faint? So Casca says, he fell down in the marketplace and foamed at his mouth and was speechless. Brutus says, it's very like he had the falling sickness. So Brutus says it is very likely that would have happened to him because he has epilepsy. So Cassius says, no, Caesar hath it not. Caesar does not have the falling sickness. You and I have. An honest Casca, we have the falling sickness because we have fallen and he has actually risen. So Casca says, I know not what you mean by that. I do not know what you mean by that, but I am sure Caesar fell down. If the Tagrag people, that means the crowd, did not clap him and hiss him according as he pleased and displeased them as they used to do the players in the theatre, I am no true man. So he's saying the crowd reacted to him just like they would do to actors in a theatre, cheering him based on his actions. So if this wasn't the case, then I am not a true person. I am a liar. So Brutus asks, what said he when he came unto himself? So what did he say when he regained his consciousness? So Casca says, well, before he fell down, when he perceived the common herd was glad he refused the crown. So when he realized that the crowd was happy that he refused the crown, he plucked me ope his doublet. That means he opened his robe and offered them his throat to cut. So he said, I will kill myself. and I had been a man of any occupation. So if I was a common laborer, if I was any common person, then if I would not have taken him at word, I might go to hell among the rogues. So he's saying, if I hadn't taken this offer of his, to hell with me. When he came to himself again, and then he fell down. So then after saying this, he fell unconscious. When he came back to consciousness, he said if he had done or said anything wrong, that is MS means wrong, he desired their worship to think it was his infirmary. He said, if I have done anything wrong or said anything wrong, it is because of my illness or my sickness. 3 or 4 wrenches where I stood cried. So 3 or 4 women where I stood there cried, Alas, good soul, and forgave him with all their heart. And they forgave him. But there's no heed to be taken of them. If Caesar had stabbed their mothers, they would have done no less. So he's saying, but never pay attention to them. If Caesar had even stabbed their mothers, they would have forgiven him. So Brutus says, and after that he came thus sad away. So after that he came back looking so sad. Casca says, hey, Cassius, did Cicero say anything? So Casca says, hey, he spoke Greek. So Cassius says, to what effect? What did he say? Casca says, nay, and I tell you that I'll never look you in the face again. But those that understood him smiled at one another and shook their head. But for mine own part, it was Greek to me. That means I did not understand. I could tell you more news too. Marullus and Flavius, for pulling scarves of Caesar's images, are put to silence. Fare you well. There was more foolery, yet if I could remember it. So Casca telling that what Cicero says I did not understand. Those people who understood smiled and shook their head looking at each other. But for me it was Greek. I did not understand. Another news is that the Flavius and Marullus are silenced. So could be that they are put to death for removing the scarves of Caesar's images, what they had done in scene 1. And then there was more foolery, but I don't remember. Cassius says, will you have dinner with me tonight, Casca? Casca says, no, I am promised forth. That means, no, I have commitment. So Cassius says, will you dine with me tomorrow? Casca says, hey, if I be alive. So if I'm alive tomorrow, and if you still keep your mind that you still want to have dinner with me, and if your dinner is worth eating, then I will eat with you. So Casca says, good, I will expect you. Casca says, do so, farewell both, and he exits the scene. So Brutus says, what a blunt fellow is this grown to be. So he used to be so sharp. He has become a blunt fellow, means stupid fellow. He was quick metal when he went to school. So he was sharp when he went to school. So Cassius says, so is he now in execution of any bold or noble enterprise. So if he has to take part any bold or noble enterprise, or any noble cause, he puts on this tardy form. So he puts a show of stupidity. This rudeness is a sauce to his good wit. So he's saying he speaks rudely or roughly, but what he says is smart, which gives men stomach to digest his words with better appetite. So it makes other people actually interested to listen to him. Brutus says, and so it is. For this time I will leave you. So I will be leaving now. Tomorrow, if you please to speak to me, I will come home to you. And if you want, come home to me. I will wait for you. And then Cassius says, until then, think about the situation of Rome. Brutus exits. Well, Brutus, you are noble. Yet I see thy honorable metal may be wrought from that it is disposed. That means I can see that your honorable character can be changed than from what it is now. Therefore, it is meet that noble minds keep ever with their likes. It is better that noble people keep their company with other noble minds. For who so firm that cannot be seduced? So who is so strong that cannot be influenced? Caesar doth bear me hard, but he loves Brutus. So Caesar is hard on me, but he loves Brutus. If I were Brutus now and he were Cassius, he should not humor me. So Cassius is saying that if I was Brutus and he was Cassius, then he would not be kind to me. I will this night in several hands in at his windows throw, as if they came from several citizens, writings all tending to the great opinion that Rome holds of his name, wherein obscurely Caesar's ambition shall be glanced at. Yes. So Cassius is saying that today I will throw many letters through the windows of Brutus, pretending that it came from different citizens, all trying to say the same thing, that they believe that Rome should be headed by Brutus, and also hinting at Caesar's growing ambition. After this, let Caesar seat him sure. And after this, Caesar will feel secure, for we will shake him or worse days endure. So either we are going to shake him, that is throw him from the throne, or worse days we are going to endure. He exits. So this is the end of Act 1, Scene 2. It was a really long scene. There are very important questions that will come from this. So study well. If you want, you can listen to the videos over and over again so that you will know what happens scene by scene. Take care of yourselves and don't take any pressure of studies. If you work hard from day one, it is going to help you in your examinations. Take care.